How to get enough protein when you're on the OMAD diet can be somewhat challenging. I really do like the 1 meal a day diet. I think it's an incredible way to lose weight and to improve your health, but you really have to make sure that you're taking in adequate amounts of protein. So in this video, let's go over a few different strategies to make sure you're getting in all your protein. Now, if you're new to my channel and you don't know who I am, my name is 𝙒𝘾𝙃𝙏. I've been a fitness trainer and gym owner for over 30 years. I've helped thousands of people lose weight and just get into fantastic shape. Let's first go over exactly what the 1 meal a day diet is. Let's go over all the health benefits. Then we'll talk about exactly how much protein, like the average person should be taking in general for good health. And then we'll go over 3 or 4 different strategies to make sure you're getting in enough protein when you're only eating 1 meal a day. Now, the classic way of doing an OMAD diet is to fast for 23 hours and then take in all your calories, generally in one large meal within a 1 hour eating window. So for example, like you don't take in any calories all day, you sit down for dinner at like 6 o'clock, you're done eating by 7 o'clock for the entire day. And there are a lot of health benefits to doing that. One primary benefit is you're gonna be in a calorie deficit. Like 95% of the people who only eat 1 meal a day are just gonna eat so much less food as opposed to eating like 2 or 3 or 4 meals a day. So you're gonna lose weight. Another benefit has to do with being in a fasted state for 23 hours. There are so many health benefits to fasting. One of the primary benefits is you're keeping insulin levels low. Okay, this is what happens when you eat food. When you eat food, whatever calories you're not burning right then, all the excess calories get stored away with the aid of insulin. Insulin is the storage hormone. So like carbohydrates get stored away in your muscle and your liver in the form of glycogen, body fats get stored away in fat cells. So when insulin levels are high, if you're eating all day long, it makes it really difficult for your body to burn body fat. But when you're doing the OMAD diet and you're fasting, say for 23 hours, what are you doing? You're burning stored energy, you're keeping insulin levels low, right, which is going to enable your body to burn body fat. Plus you're also, which this is an amazing thing for your health, is that you're increasing your insulin sensitivity. See, so many people who are overweight, who eat multiple meals a day, who eat a high carbohydrate diet, become insulin resistant, meaning that the pancreas produces the insulin, but it just doesn't work properly. That's when people run into big problems like type 2 diabetes, metabolic type syndrome, like fatty liver disease, high blood pressure. So many of those conditions are due to people being insulin resistant. So by fasting, you're increasing your insulin sensitivity. Okay, now let's go over how much protein should the average person consume every day. And in my opinion, I like to go with about 0.9 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight. And I know this can be a little bit confusing. Like, how do you know what your body fat is, right? Like, let's say you're 200 pounds and you're 20% body fat. So that would give you about 160 pounds of lean body mass. You times that by 0.9, that gives you about 144 grams of protein a day. I mean, if you can figure out exactly what your body fat is, you know, you can step on one of those electrical impedance type scales, or you can go and have your body fat measured. But even if you just like took your weight and times it by like 0.8 or 0.9, I think that's a good general rule to figure out how much protein you should be consuming, especially if you're an active type person. Okay, now let's look at some typical foods. A general rule is 4 ounces of chicken, fish, or meat or about 25 grams of protein. So if you're looking to take in, say you're a 150-pound guy or gal, and you're looking to take in 140, 150 grams of protein, that's a big piece of meat. You know, let's say you're eating 16 ounces of like salmon or steak, you're getting about 100 grams of protein. You're like 2/3 of the way there. Most people have a hard time eating more than that. So let's go over some specific strategies that you can use that's going to help you get in enough protein. Okay, one strategy I like to do is to, instead of doing a 23-hour fast, in my opinion, you're still going to get like 99% of the benefit of an OMAD type protocol by just extending your eating window to 2 hours instead of 1 hour. And instead of doing just one big meal, you can do one large meal and then one small meal an hour and a half later. So for example, you can have your 16-ounce steak with a couple of vegetables and your normal healthy whole food type diet. And then an hour and a half later, you can have a protein shake. You can have another piece of protein. I think you're gonna get most of the benefit, if not all, of the OMAD diet, giving yourself a 2-hour eating window instead of one. Plus, it's gonna ensure that you're taking in enough calories. It's not good to be in an extreme calorie deficit for extended periods of time. You wanna make sure you are getting in enough nutrition when you're following the OMAD diet. Now, another strategy you might want to try to get enough protein in is to try different types of protein. For example, this is what I like to do. I'll maybe start my meal with something like a shrimp cocktail. Maybe I'll have 4 ounces of a shrimp cocktail, get 25 grams of protein there. Then I might have a nice big steak, a 16-ounce steak, getting in 100 grams of protein there. I find that I'm still hungry. I still want more protein when I change the type of protein. If I'm trying to get all my protein just with steak, or trying to get all my protein just with, say, salmon, fish, I feel like I can't eat enough. But if I have some shrimp first, or maybe I have a couple of hard-boiled eggs first, almost like as an appetizer, trying to make your appetizer a protein-based food. But then when it comes to my main course, when I have like my 2 different vegetables and my steak, I want to eat the whole steak. So that's another really good strategy to make sure you're getting in enough protein. Now, another strategy is, I think the OMAD diet is more of an intermittent strategy as opposed to something that you do every single day. Because when you're like I talked about earlier, when you're doing this only 1 meal a day diet, it's so hard to get in proper nutrition, enough protein, enough food in general. So why don't you also try doing the OMAD diet every other day? So when you look at your protein consumption over the course of a month, you'll be getting in enough protein. So one day you can do the OMAD diet, and it is okay if you don't get quite enough protein in. But then the next day, say do a 16-8, where you're fasting 16 hours, then you eat 2 or 3 meals within an 8-hour eating window. Make sure you're getting in enough protein. You can even overdo it a little bit. And you can do a strategy like that, OMAD 16-8, indefinitely for extended periods of time. Because on the OMAD day, you'll be reducing your calories, and then 16-8, you might be reducing your calories, but hopefully you're getting in enough proper nutrition and enough protein. Another thing you could do, another strategy is, you can do the OMAD diet every day for, say, 2 weeks. You might be a little protein deficient, but then go off the diet, increase your protein, increase your calories, and eat normally for a couple of weeks, and kind of do like a 50-50 every month. That's another strategy I found to be incredibly effective. How I personally use the OMAD diet, I like to do it on Sundays. It works like perfect for my schedule. I own a gym, I'm lifting weights all the time, I'm very active, and I really want to make sure I take in enough protein. So I like to do the OMAD diet on Sundays once a week. And what I generally do, I consider it almost like a little bit of a cheat day. I like to give myself a nice 2.5 hour feasting window where I like to have a lot of my favorite foods. I wake up in the morning, have a cup of black coffee. I like to take a 2-hour fasted walk. I do that every single Sunday, no matter what, snow, rain. I love doing that. I come back from my walk, I'm relaxing with my family, my wife, my kids. Then we all sit down for a nice big 2.5 hour feasting meal. And even though I eat a lot of my favorite foods, I still don't really consume all that many calories that day because I'm only eating one big meal. Think about that strategy. It's another great way of using the OMAD diet. Now, if you want to learn more about intermittent fasting, check out this playlist of videos above me. I got a whole bunch of videos on all different protocols for intermittent fasting.